Good morning, New Thought community. It's Sandra here. It's a joy and privilege to serve as practitioner this week for our community and for Reverend Carol Ann Rubin. I just want to say that I miss seeing you all in the sanctuary and co-creating the beautiful services that we have there. And I really look forward to the time when we can have services there again. But hey, this is the next best thing. Anyhow, I pray that you are all finding ways to stay centered in peace, in love, in health, and gratitude amidst the times that we're living in, and that you are leaning into your faith and your spiritual practices for support at this time. Today my reading comes from Living the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. And the heading for this reading is called The Contagion of Fear. John Smith was humming a gay tune and seemed to exude great confidence in himself and the world as he boarded the streetcar. He sat down next to a man who was filled with fear and apprehension. By the time John Smith got off the car, he was in a grip of a terrible anxiety which he could not explain. It is possible for us to catch fear from others much as we would catch a cold, for we are all unconscious mental, emotional, and spiritual broadcasting stations. This takes us back to a thought in the Bible which says that a man's enemies shall be those of his own household, for our real enemies are our fears and phobias, our doubts and our uncertainties, our anxieties and our inner conflicts. Many years ago I discovered, and of course others had discovered before me, that nervous, fretful, agitated children who have nightmares and who cannot retain their food are affected by the inner agitation of their parents' thoughts and feelings. But let us broaden this field and say that the whole world is filled with the thoughts of the people who live in it, and that perhaps we are all more or less subject to the passing emotions of the race mind. A leading psychiatrist has told us that fear can render a person completely unconscious as far as his brain is concerned. He tells us that it paralyzes the memory, and if a person is afraid he will forget something, he is likely to do so. We know that in cases of amnesia, people are so frightened by some unconscious thought that they even forget their own names and who they are and where they came from. Fear produces a mysterious chemical which is released into the blood, but this chemical disappears when the anxiety is over. We all have our little fears and anxieties, and we all wish to get over them. The healing of fear and anxiety is not to be found in any drug or physical manipulation. The cure is to be found only within our own minds. Where fear is the disease, we have to be our own doctors. The Bible tells us that perfect love casts out fear, and that where love is, fear cannot remain. We can apply this principle of faith and confidence to ourselves as individuals, to our families as the first unit we deal with, and to all the people we contact in everyday walks of life. Did you ever notice the effect of just being with a person who is calm and poised and unafraid? How different you feel, how buoyed up and confident you become. Why should not each one of us become a broadcasting station of faith? The world is too largely governed by fear. We are afraid of this and afraid of that and something else. We are afraid of what has happened and what is happening and what we think is going to happen. If fear is contagious and does in some mysterious way secrete a germ which acts negatively in the physical body, I think it is not too much to say that it also secretes some kind of mental germ in the whole race mind, which affects everyone with a sense of confusion and uncertainty and anxiety. There is no doubt that this is true, and we should do something about it. Not that we have to become heroic figures who consider themselves the liberators of humanity, for we are probably not in a position to do this. What I mean is that each one of us should analyze his own thinking to determine what is wrong and replace every fear with faith and confidence. But where are we going to get this faith and confidence? Certainly not out of the weakness of our previous experience, and perhaps not out of the thoughts that we had yesterday. Those thoughts were so filled with anxiety. It seems to me that we have to begin all over again, and we must find some reason for having a faith that is stronger than all of our fears. So far, the world has never found this reason outside what we call a religious or a spiritual idea. And by this I mean a direct faith in God. There is nothing for God to be afraid of, and if we can and do tune into the thoughts of others, and if they affect us, as they most certainly do, why should we not learn to tune into the mind of God, which is free from fear and doubt? This is what is meant by prayer and meditation. For in the act of prayer and meditation, we commune with the invisible Spirit. We draw its strength, its peace, and its serenity into our own souls. And as a result of this, we become strong and self-reliant because we have built up a confidence in life, a faith and a conviction which wards off all fear. Just as a germ of physical disease is less liable to infect a strong body, so the germ of mental fear is resisted by the whole and happy mind. The quickest and most effective method to get rid of fear is to get quiet and lift up the whole thought and confidence and faith to something bigger than we are. It is like going from a cold, dark room into the sunshine and just sitting there, letting the rays of the sun penetrate the whole being with warmth and color until the darkness and dampness are gone. So it is with a life of prayer and faith, of affirmative meditation, and of communion with that divine Spirit which is closer to us than our own breath. Before I begin treatment, I would like to begin with a quote. The ideals which have lighted my way and time after time have given me new courage to face life cheerfully have been kindness, beauty, and truth. This was said by Albert Einstein. Please take a deep breath with me and just center yourself. We recognize the presence throughout existence of one power and source of all that is. In this source, we are one and have our being. As we find ourselves in unpredictable and uncertain times, we stay open to personal growth, possibilities, welcome change, greater collaboration, and solutions. We let go of any lower collective thought that we have identified with which doesn't serve us. We learn to trust the journey even when we don't fully understand it. We recognize our one shared humanity experiencing uncertainty, and we stay centered in kindness, love, compassion, and peace. We help others and are of service where and however we can be, while remaining mindful of our own self-care. We lean into our faith and our spiritual practices which nurture and center us, as each of us become those spiritual broadcasting stations of light for the frequency of peace, positive, helpful change, and love which lights the way for others out of the darkness. As we tune into the mind of God, we are freed from doubt and fear. We let go and we let God lead the way. I release these words into the creative divine law of the universe, knowing this or something greater is coming to fruition. In deep gratitude, I say thank you, God, and so it is.